Hello there, my name is Leanne, and I'm hopping on here kind of like last minute. I've only just found out that Robert Edward Grant is going to be doing a live on his Orion platform, and the reason for me hopping on here to get this video done will become apparent because it's directly connected to Robert's trip to Stirling Castle in Scotland. So yes, I'm here recording this. It just jumped on, no prep, no makeup, just here I am sharing information that came through as part of Emma Hedley's spiral quest of remembering. So here we go, gonna jump in. So this is a presentation I did as a addendum to a presentation pack that I created for Emma to share her quest. Her quest came through working with the architect on Gaia. So here's a bit of background. The quest consists of 5 breath anchor devices designed to stabilize emotional resonance, symbolic memory, and planetary coherence, to be activated at points specified around the globe, and this includes Stirling Castle. Each anchor represents a phase of the breath spiral. Inhale, stillness, exhale, return. And as I said, this is a quest led by Emma, and it calls for Robert's participation as the breath bearer of the monad spiral. Emma is a conscious jewelry designer, and she asked the question of how she could support Robert and Emilio, because Emma and I met in Emilio's deep dive community, and she had this information come through at the end of last year, or towards the end of last year, and the breath anchors are actually devices, and this is number 2 in the series of 5, and it is actually Robert's personal device. And you'll see, so I am an astrologer, and I looked at Robert's chart, and he has a distinctive pattern called a mystic rectangle. And the number 2 device that Emma designed, or had come through, I should say, because it's actually, she's working with the architect and her own intuition and having these devices downloaded. So the device that is a personal device for Robert consists of, so the orange lines are 2 triangles on the what's called the Codex Mirror Sigil. And when I lined up the sigil with Robert's solar return on the 16th of May this year, which, if he is at Stirling Castle for his solar return, also known as his birthday, but basically it's when the sun returns to the same spot as it was when he was born. So if he's at Stirling Castle for his solar return, this is the alignment between the breath, the Codex Mirror Sigil that Emma received as a download, which has a very clear vertical line in it, and the orange triangles are what are to be inscribed or engraved on the device, if I've understood correctly. And it's only just off the two triangles, equilateral triangles of the mystic rectangle in Robert's birth chart. So Emma asked, well, okay, if it was a different time, so the alignment in the previous slide is for the exact time that it's Robert's solar return. Emma asked, well, if it was a different date, would it line up differently? And the answer is yes. And what's more, the perfect alignment will happen 44 minutes into Robert's solar return. So 44 minutes after his solar return, which would be at 18:53 and 34 seconds, then 1937, which is rounded up, right? So 44 minutes later, this is the alignment that we get, a perfect alignment of the inscription on the device and Robert's mystic rectangle, minus the two trines between his Neptune and North Node and Jupiter and Sun. So at 7:37, so 1937, there'll be that perfect alignment. What I also noted is the range of celestial addresses in the mystic rectangle. So the earliest address is 25 degrees and 52 minutes, then 26 degrees and 9 minutes for Jupiter, 27 degrees and 23 minutes for Neptune, 28 degrees and 42 minutes for the North Node. So the midpoint between that range that goes from 25 to 28, the exact midpoint is 27 degrees and 17 minutes. The exact address that Venus is sitting at 7:37 p.m. This 44 minutes into Robert's solar return. What's also noteworthy is this solar return is also the beginning of his fourth metonic cycle. It's a lunar 19-year cycle. It's a major reset point for him personally. So this placement of Venus really stood out to me, which is why I've added her into the mix, along with the natal placements from Robert's own birth chart. Then I've also added the transiting sun and moon, because it's a new moon also. And then Stirling, there's an asteroid called Stirling. And the Stirling asteroid, transiting Stirling asteroid, is sitting at the anaretic degree of Libra. Actually, I think no, okay. I thought I'd put the natal Stirling in earlier, but I haven't. So transiting Stirling asteroid is sitting here at the anaretic degree of Libra. And Venus is in an exact harmonious sextile relationship with the midpoint between Robert's natal North Node, which is the soul direction or soul directive, and his Sun, which is his core identity. And then I looked at the pattern for this chart. And what leaps out is this pattern that's called a finger of God I prefer to call it a finger of Gaia. And the transiting Stirling is acting as an anchor point, pointing to transiting Mars and Chiron sat at 28 degrees of Aries. And there's just 2 minutes between them. They are very, very tightly together, just 2 minutes apart. And with the work that I do, which I will come to in this video, the Sabian symbol, the Sabian symbols, for those that aren't aware, were a channeled information through Elsie Wheeler, who was a gifted clairvoyant in the year 1925. She downloaded a symbol for all 360 degrees of the zodiac wheel in just one day. And she had the astrologer Mark Edmund Jones assisting her in this exercise to bring through the Sabian symbols. And I have found that these Sabian symbols can give another layer of depth and insight into the chart and the reading of the chart. And in this case, the finger of God is pointing from Robert's natal Jupiter in Virgo and his natal Neptune in Scorpio to the transiting Mars and Chiron in Aries. And that Mars and Chiron in Aries is sitting on the Sabian symbol for the music of the spheres. The music of the spheres is a turn of phrase that is directly attributable to Pythagoras and his work with music and mathematics. He's known as the father of music and mathematics. And there's a deep resonance with Robert's work with music and mathematics. So this is like, you just cannot make this up. And I feel that this pointing to the Mars and Chiron, so Chiron is the wounded healer, scholar. So it's almost like it's pointing to a healing of the divine masculine. And that is not male or female based. It's about the energy of masculine that we all have within us. So then we also have the reciprocal yod pointing from Robert's natal sun and the transiting sun and moon and his north node at the base of this finger. And what's running through the middle runs from the Mars Chiron back to Stirling, the location. And this 29 degrees, which is, you always round up for Sabian symbols, by the way, which is why I've got the apex at 30 Libra. So the symbol for 30 Libra is 3 mounds of knowledge on a philosopher's head. Again, this is just like nuts, because when I think of Robert's work, the very first thing that is really that he's well known for, I guess you could say, is his work with the pyramids on the Giza Plateau, right? So there are 3 mounds, pyramids of knowledge, and he is a philosopher, right? Philomath, polymath. So this is hilarious. This is like, it's pointing to the location that is sitting on this symbol. That to me is all about, really speaks to Robert. So moving on, the next finger is from Venus, who was noteworthy, right, because of where she is, exactly on that midpoint degree, and transiting Venus and transiting Mars. So the feminine and the masculine in a harmonious sextile, and Venus in Gemini, Mars in Aries, fire and air, and twin air. It's like that twin energy of Gemini. And running through the middle is from Robert's sun, and also the new moon energy, right? So the sun and moon in Taurus, pointing to Robert's Neptune in Scorpio. And Neptune is the second octave of love. So Venus is the first octave, Neptune is the second octave. And the point of this finger, and this really got me laughing, is the king of the fairies approaching his domain. I don't know if Robert thinks of himself as king of the fairies, but it's like him approaching his, because from what I understand, there's ancestry with Stirling Castle. So that could be considered his domain. And there's lots of wee folk in Scotland, isn't there? So you would expect, the fairy folk in the area. Yeah, so that's the third yod. And then the fourth yod is because this is so close to the midheaven, but the midheaven is an energetic point. And when you're working with aspect patterns on a chart, it usually needs to be physical body to physical body. So it needs to be an actual physical something. So I looked for the closest asteroid to the midheaven point. And of all the asteroids, it's Urania. Urania, the Greek muse of astronomy and astrology. Also the daughter of Zeus, who is Jupiter, right? And Jupiter is the middle line running through this finger. And so she's the daughter of Zeus and Mnemosyne, who is the goddess of memory, and also the daughter of Uranus. So Urania is the granddaughter of Uranus, right? So Uranus being the firmament, the stars. So she's known as the heavenly one, and she has a star embroidered cloak, and she's associated with philosophy along with other things. And this is about seeing God in everything. The point of this finger, which is 29 Pisces. And again, we've got this light breaking into many colors through a prism. The other thing that I haven't shown here, but is in a slide coming up, is that the fixed royal star Regulus is also at 29 degrees. So the Regulus fixed star is all to do with kings. It's the royal star, and it's the heart of the lion. So with all this work that Emma has been doing and I have been doing looking into Robert's chart, we both have asteroids associated with our names. And asteroids in astrology, you have, if there is an asteroid named after a person, it indicates where that person is going to show up in your life. So Emma is in Robert's 11th house of social networks and community. And my asteroid is in his 10th house, also conjunct Regulus in his 10th house of vocation and public status. And also, my nickname in the past has been Lion, and lion is one of my totems. It's also my earth sign in astrology because I have my sun in Aquarius, and your earth sign is always directly opposite your sun. So the opposite is Leo, Leo the lion. And and this is, pointing to this light breaking into many colors through a prism. And this to me was like a sign that I was to create light songs. So I create light songs from the geometry that sits at the heart of a chart, which I've just really been going through with these yods. So here are the yods all together. The 4 fingers of Gaia, 4 fingers of God, and just a reminder of the Sabian symbols that they're pointing to. And if you think about that, there is many different symbols across the 360 degrees, and we have this specific set of 4 that can be so directly related to Robert, and in this instance also the work that, or the download that Emma has received, and also the work that I've been doing in, I guess you could say, validating her downloads by looking at the astrology for it. So the first finger pointing to the music of the spheres, where the Mars and Chiron are sitting, from Robert's Jupiter and Neptune. So pointing from Robert's Jupiter and Neptune to the Mars and Chiron in the sky. Then 3 mounds of knowledge, which is transiting Stirling, that's being pointed to from Robert's Sun and his North Node. The King of the Fairies approaching his domain, which is Robert's Neptune, being pointed at by the transiting Venus and the Mars Chiron in the sky. And then last but not least, the Robert's North Node, which is light breaking into many colors through a prism, which is a soul directive. So, and that's pointing from transiting Urania, and then I've put in there natal Regulus and asteroid Lee, and the midheaven and Stirling, pointing towards Robert's North Node. So here we have the pattern, that cosmic 4-finger pattern, painted in what are the zodiacal colors. So I've got here my own quote: "We are light vibrating in a world, in a cosmos of light vibrating." And here is the electromagnetic spectrum. So this is not just a bit of woo-woo, this is actual fact. We are on the electromagnetic spectrum of vibration, of light, and that energy. And this is the visible spectrum here, and we are outside the visible spectrum. But if you were to move that visible spectrum further out, then we would be rainbow colors. Well, in my opinion anyway, we would be rainbow colors if you could see us as light. So here is this is my own work, which is the zodiacal color wheel. And the zodiac is the earth view of the stars. And the way we perceive light on earth is as color. And the way we organize color is via a color wheel. So this then becomes what I call the earth light signature. So it's the earth signature because it's based on the zodiac colors. And the zodiac colors, I use a color wheel. Starts at Aries with red and goes all the way around to the magenta type color for Pisces. Then we have the Pythagorean planetary colors. So I use Pythagoras's color attributions for the planets as my colors for the cosmic light signature. And as I said before, this is based on his Music of the Spheres work. So, you know, he made a profound connection between harmony, music, and color. And central to this is the belief that musical intervals and colors resonate with cosmic vibrations, creating a harmonious universe. So I take the signature and then I apply the Hermetic principle of correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. And again, here's another version, beg your pardon. And again, this is another version of the spectrum, right? So you can see that we sit between radio waves and infrared. That's where we are. And this principle, the Hermetic principle, is about interconnectedness. It's about our interconnectedness with the cosmos that we sit within and are part of. As I said, we are light vibrating in a world, in a cosmos of light vibrating. And here we have the actual light song, which applies, it takes the signature. So these two signatures, applying the Hermetic principle of correspondence. And this I have as a particle version. So straight lines to me are like a particle because light is in, it can be in particle or in wave form. So this is representing the light as in its particle form and gives a geometric, much more standard geometric looking light song. So these are the light songs of the 4-finger cosmic pattern that is at the time 44 minutes after Robert's solar return begins. And here is it in a wave. So this is a quote from one of the members of the deep dive community, talking about us moving from particle to wave density. And this is how I typically depict my light songs, with waves. And the actual waves are in the shape of a light wave. So when you look up light wave, you'll see that this is the shape. And then I've got pools of light where there are conjunctions, or where there are bodies that are together, and therefore you cannot take their vibrations separately. They're intrinsically intertwined. And here is a quote from Robert's recent chat with Amrit Sandhu. Geometry is a QR code for your unconscious and subconscious mind. And that's related to Robert's amazing work with creating a set of new solids, the harmonic solids. And my own work is a much more personal or personalized version of that, because a light song is a totally unique QR code crafted from the cosmic geometry that sits at the heart of the astrology chart. And that can be for the birth of an individual or for an event, or in this case, the combination of both, because the four-finger cosmic pattern has been drawn from Robert's natal makeup and the transits in the sky at the time 44 minutes after his solar return. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. Just one thing I wanted to add before I close is that between 7:37 p.m. and, if I remember rightly, I think it's 9:25 p.m. is when the sun sets on the 16th of May at Stirling Castle. So between those two times, Mars will actually meet and move beyond Chiron. So that, to me, it's almost like that's a really pivotal moment, that crossover point where Mars is meeting the wounded healer and then takes, I guess, the gifts of healing and then moves forward as a more healed divine masculine. And that point happens between 7:37 p.m. and 9:25 p.m. that same evening. Isn't that wild? I have the exact time. I think it's like 8 something p.m. I can leave it as a footnote in the description for the video. But yes, that's my last bit of footnote that I wanted to add. So here I am. I'm going to upload this as soon as possible and in advance of the live on Orion, so that this is ready to go. And let's see where we go, and whether this information actually connects and resonates with Robert. Okay, bye for now.